All right, we're live everywhere. Good morning. Today is the 13th of April. My name is Sean Shapiro, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop. It's our thing. It's this gig we do where we talk about traffic safety, traffic law. We answer your traffic and police questions for an hour, and that's what we're about to do. We have a bunch of things we want to talk about that are happening. You know, we're in the midst of a traffic safety campaign called Speed Kills. We're going to talk about some statistics. That is awesome. We're going to talk about Vision Zero enforcement team. We've got Erin Urquhart joining us this morning, and she is a parking enforcement officer who works with me here in the media office side of things. And we're going to talk about parking and be able to answer your traffic specific or your parking specific questions. A couple of good mornings. Nico says good morning. We've got Rob Baker with a good morning. Kayla Draconis has a unique good morning. It's greetings and salutations, which is always appreciated. Thank you. If you've got questions, use the Q&A function. If you're coming in from LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, well, LinkedIn too, but if you're on Twitter, you got no choices. TikTok, you can use the Q&A function, and that thing called Instagram, that I don't know why I looked at it. It's really just me looking at myself, but I couldn't remember Instagram. I think I've got a mental block when it comes to Instagram. So if you're using Instagram or you're using TikTok, please use the bubble, that Q&A function. That's going to ensure that I get to see your question. If you use anything else, like the chat, I'm probably not going to see what you're talking about. It's not because I'm ignoring you, just because we get busy in here. There's 192 people, and that just keeps growing. Hey, if you don't mind, like this live by double tapping, following, sharing, whatever you've got available. It'll help the algorithm tell everyone else that we're doing something worthy of attention, and we want to be able to help as many people as possible. Tracy Bell comes in from LinkedIn Live and says, good morning, Sean and Q. Let's see here. Okay. And thank you, Q. Much appreciated. Q is out of town. If you're coming in on the other platforms, that is YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, those Q&A functions aren't a Q&A box, but you can use the chat to ask us questions, and we'll get to you live. But if you're on Twitter, the API doesn't appear to be working. We can't seem to see your questions. So please hop over to either Twitch or YouTube, or any of the other platforms, so that we can see what you want to say, ask us. If you're going to do that on YouTube, it's Traffic Services Toronto Police. That's possibly the easiest way to get us. Twitch is at Traffic Services. And let's jump into things. Let's jump into questions right after we talk about Vision Zero enforcement team. What is the Vision Zero enforcement team? They are a dedicated group of officers who go out and, they change driver behavior by enforcing the big four. That's speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. They go out throughout the city and they assist officers in different divisions by just having more presence. And we go to the divisions that are determined by analytics. So our big brain people go through the numbers and see the areas that are more or higher risk of collision and injury because of motor vehicle behavior, driver behavior. So these are all very important things. We want to make the road safer. That's why we do what we do. It's not about making money for the man. That's what everyone accused me of yesterday when I talked about the stats from our Speed Kills traffic safety enforcement campaign. So let's talk about that as soon as I finish telling you where Vision Zero enforcement team is. Today, they are focused on 31 Division and 42 Division. That's the neighborhoods of Black Creek, Humbermead, Glenfield, Downsview, Malvern, Agincourt, Milliken, the Rouge, Scarborough in general. They're out there helping. Okay. But let's talk about the fact that everybody in the city is focused on traffic, because traffic's an issue when people choose to do things that are dangerous, that raise the risk of collision, of serious injury and death on our roads. We want to address that. And what we do when we have these safety campaigns is we talk about risks, we talk about stats. So on Monday, we issued 524 speeding tickets in the city of Toronto. Is that a lot? I don't know. You think it's a lot? Maybe it's what we always do, but we're talking about it. Fact is, there's way too many people who are breaking the law. And by doing that, they're taking unnecessary risks. Do you know, when you increase the speed of your vehicle, you reduce your reaction time, you increase the severity of injury and damage when a collision occurs, and you are more likely, I think I said this in a different way, but you're more likely to become involved in a collision. It's not just going faster and getting somewhere faster. And in truth, you just get to that red light a little bit quicker than the person who rolls up a second or two behind you. So you use more fuel, you increase your risk of injury and damage and raising your insurance rates for so many different reasons, and you don't really get anywhere faster. Is it worth it? I don't think so. We also had 158 charges for aggressive driving, 34 distracted driving, and 4 of those speeding tickets, I believe, were stunt driving. A total of about 979 tickets. I said just under 1,000. That's a lot of tickets. But yesterday, Tuesday, day 2 of the campaign, 803 speeding tickets. That's a lot more than the 524. 5 of those were stunt driving, and that's amazing. It's amazing that so many people just don't care about the speed that they're going. So hopefully these tickets will serve to slow them down. Maybe they'll get that ticket and they won't do it again. That's really the goal. There were also aggressive driving tickets to the tune of 206. There were 23 distracted driving charges, and a total number of tickets that were over 1,300. So a lot of charges laid, and hopefully it's a positive effect. And that we're going to report every day how many charges we lay. So make sure you tune in, check out the videos that we post, and let's get into the conversation. I'd love to know what you think about this campaign and what you think about speed enforcement, because obviously it's not a popular topic for some people. Some people think it's not good at all. They don't think it's right that we lay charges for speeding. They want to be able to do what they want to do. Aaron Urquhart, parking enforcement officer, a bike officer, very passionate about cycle lanes and keeping cyclists safe. And she's joined us here. So if you've got questions about parking, let us know. And let's get into some Q&A, because Danny Z wants to know, what is the punishment for driving alone with a G1? It's one of my favorite questions to answer. And that is, it's really bad. So you're not a licensed driver. You have a learner's permit, which requires you to be supervised by a licensed G-class driver, someone who has 4 years experience and a G-class license. Now, they could have had 4 years combined with their G2, but they are allowed to supervise you, and you have some conditions. So let's talk about that. If you're driving alone and you're caught, it's a $110 fine. But wait, there's more. There's a 30-day license suspension that comes with that conviction. And there's more. That's your first conviction, because your second is 90 days, and your third, you get kicked out of the program. But there's other things to consider. You're not insured. If you get into a collision, it's going to be denied. Your car may be insured, but because you're not a licensed driver, you're not going to be covered. So mom and dad, if you're borrowing their car, that's out of the game. That's out of the game. No one, you're not covered. Additionally, the person who let you drive that car, well, that's going to be a fine under the HTA, a charge under the HTA for them. Now, let's say they didn't give you permission. You took keys from mom and dad. Well, then you're talking about criminal charges for you for taking a vehicle without consent. All the way around, Danny, it's a bad idea. Don't do it. Where does the money from tickets go? Great question. It doesn't go to me. It doesn't go to the service. It goes to the provincial government, and a portion of it may go to the city, but I don't have the specific breakdown. But I can tell you that we don't do this because we're making money to buy new police cars. We're doing this to motivate drivers to do the right thing, to drive safely and make the streets safer. Will says, hello, everyone. Do we have a phone ringing somewhere? It's somebody's making noise somewhere. We got a lot of people in the office today, not in the office in particular, but in this area. Pepe says, don't forget to wish Paulo a happy birthday today. Paulo with the Mustang, happy birthday. We got Rob Baker. What is the most expensive parking ticket Urquhart has ever given out?
So yes, this is a...
Wait. I had you on mute accidentally.
I was muted. Okay, so the most expensive parking ticket that I've issued and that we can issue is $450, and those are for accessible spots. So people who have the wheelchair handicap permits, but we call them accessible permits. So that is the most expensive parking ticket, and you can get charged if you're fraudulently using one of those permits from you guys, the police, but we do have the authority to retain the permits if they're being misused. So that is a big fine. You can get charged up to $5,000 if you are misusing one of those, but that's not a parking ticket. That's a criminal charge.
Folks that misuse those permits, and I used them because I was issued one due to my injuries, really drive me crazy. I, who have access to that permit, I don't even use it if I'm feeling well. If I can walk, I walk. Yeah. My mother, when she was around, she who was in a wheelchair most of the time didn't want to use it because there were people who needed it more than her, she said. And she was right.
Exactly.
You know what? People who abuse those are on the highest offensive list, in my opinion. Kayla Draconis also brings up a very good point when it comes to where does the money go. There is a victim fine surcharge that is a portion of the fine. So, for instance, a $110 fine is $85 fine, and the rest is victim fine surcharge. It goes into a fund that can go to be awarded to the victims of crime. So people can apply after being victims of crime to get money, to get support, and that's where some of that money goes. So thank you, Kayla, for bringing that up.
I didn't know that.
Yes, more of that available by Googling, but it is a really good thing. I know many people who have been victims of crime who've applied, and maybe they got a few $1,000s to help them because they were injured as a result of being robbed or whatever is the case. Things that make you go, I didn't know that. Supermarine 1870 says, do you need to wait until a pedestrian completely clears a crosswalk or only until they've cleared the median, mid-block, traffic island, refuge? I always wait, but drivers behind me don't appreciate this. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Coming in from Twitch, by the way. Here's the deal. And we had this conversation with a driving instructor yesterday by way of DM. A crosswalk at an intersection is not the same as a pedestrian crossover. Pedestrian crossover is you're required to wait until the pedestrian clears the entire roadway, not just the side of the road you're on. The rules for a crosswalk in a signalized intersection or an intersection are that you must wait. You cannot. You must yield to the pedestrians. So you have to wait if they're waiting if they're approaching you. You have to wait. If they've passed you, and we like to say the halfway point, that's when you can go. Now, if there's a crossing guard present, you have to wait until everybody's off the road. That's different. But if there's no crossing guard and it's not a pedestrian crossover, which is a PXO and it's marked as such, then just when they clear your half. So there you go. Rob Baker says, wow. Wow, Rob. What are we wowing about? Let's see here. Hey, can you hit that screen on Instagram and on the TikTok? Can you hit that screen until your finger goes numb? Help show likes to this page, not because we make money, we don't make money from it, but because we want to bring more people to the party. We want the algorithm to know that we're talking about important stuff. And please share it. A personal reference, you telling someone to come by and visit and see what we're doing is way more valuable than someone just randomly finding us. But listen, it is happy, or we are happy to have everyone come and ask questions. Some people don't want to share because they want to get their questions answered. They don't want to share us with anyone else. Okay. Can I make a complaint after a month of the accident? If you're supposed to report your collisions, and you're legally obligated to do that, immediately or as soon thereof. And the word that I'm looking for escapes me right now, but escapes me. In any case. You need to report forthwith to a police. That's what it is. So you need to make those reports. Now, it happens that sometimes you don't realize you needed to, or you didn't know that it met the legal requirement of $2,000 where you are legally obligated to report a collision. So could you? You could. Might you be denied? You might. And could you be charged for not reporting in time? Possibly. So you need to take care of your business in a more efficient manner. A month is a long time. Jay Keir says, pulled over to let a fire truck enter the intersection. 3 drivers cut off the truck. Can they be charged? Absolutely. If a motor vehicle doesn't yield or pull over for an emergency vehicle, they can certainly be charged. It's somewhere in the vicinity of $490, I think, for that charge. And I really do like laying that charge because when people don't get out of the way for emergency vehicles, they're putting lives at risk immediately because those people, the emergency vehicles, are actually going to help somebody in need in that moment. So I don't think that you could find someone more offensive than someone who doesn't understand how to get out of the way for folks who are trying to be heroes, saving the day in their own special way. What show am I talking about? Okay. Oh, here we go. My dad drives a big truck and he constantly gets cut off and brake checked. What can he do? Well, first of all, I hope he has a dash cam because when those things turn south, at least you've got the evidence to support the fact that the driver did something and contributed to the collision. Video evidence is the best evidence. But you can also make reports. At the end of the day, try and give yourself as much room. And I'm sure he does. He's a professional driver, tries to give himself as much room. And then these people who don't know how to drive, cut them off because they don't understand the dynamics of major league vehicles, those big vehicles that are, that take time and to slow down. They don't stop on a dime. And yeah, isn't that strange, Q? We have people who are spamming in the chat. That is just not kind. Spam. I don't know what they think. I'm not even looking at it, so I don't see it, but I'm getting notified that people in the community, people who want their questions answered, are annoyed by the people who spam. So we're going to ask you to stop, and we're going to then kick you out because you're being disruptive. Okay. Want to be a member of the Toronto Police Service? We think you might, and if you do, you should come join us. When I say that, I mean we're hiring. www.tps.ca/careers. It's on the screen for TikTok. You can join us. It's a great place to work. It's a great career. And it's not just policing. We hire people for civilian positions. We hire people in networking and communications operators and computer stuff and analysts and math people. There are specialties that are everywhere. But we are hiring police officers in particular. We hire parking officers and special constables. And you know what? It's a great opportunity for a lifelong career that is always changing and always interesting. Look at me, for instance. I started off as an auxiliary. I volunteered. I became a court officer within a few months of being an auxiliary. I did that for a number of years, in 12 in fact. And then I patched over and became a police officer, trading 2 uniforms for 1. And within those roles, I had a ton of different responsibilities. I was a PC. I was a sergeant in the auxiliary. I was a supervisor in courts. I've done a lot of stuff, and I've had a lot of great experiences, met fantastic people, and I wouldn't change a thing. Okay. What is this? Why is Autobahn Why is Autobahn with no limit safer? Is it safer? Here's the deal. The Autobahn has speed limits. A lot of people think that it's a free-for-all. It's not. In populated areas, the speed limits, which are strictly enforced, range from 80 to 130 kilometers an hour. Those roads are designed for that speed. 1. 2, it's not as easy to get a license in Europe. It's not the same as just being a driver here. So again, you do something wrong, and things do go wrong on occasion on the Autobahn. And when those high speed and those unlimited zones, they make some big messes. Those debris fields are enormous, and people die because speed does kill, despite what you may think. Okay. What is this? Oh, we have printers going off and making noise. Accident with no camera, not my mistake. How to prove? Well, we do investigate collisions, and if your police officers attended and investigated collisions in person, then they would make a determination based on the physical evidence that they observed, based on witness statements, and hopefully people stuck around to give those witness statements. But generally speaking, the physical evidence is sufficient to make a determination. Here's the deal. You may not agree with what happens, and if you don't think that you're at fault for the collision that took place, you can always take it to court. And at the very end of the day, the insurance companies make their own determination regardless of what we say. So, there you have it. What to do? Hey, if you're new to the channel and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service, and I work at Traffic Services. That's a citywide unit for the Toronto Police Service and the City of Toronto. I work in traffic safety programs in particular. That is an educational branch of things. We talk about laws and safety and what to do and how to do it. And you know what? We get on social media and we answer your traffic and police questions. With me sitting not too far away, wearing headphones and standing in front of a microphone, is Erin Urquhart. She's a parking enforcement officer, also a media relations officer, and ready to answer questions about parking. So if you've got questions about parking, put it in the Q&A section of either TikTok or Instagram, or comments on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I'd normally say Twitter, but it's broken. So Twitter can watch us, but they can't talk to us. If you are on Twitter, switch over to one of our other platforms so you can participate. All right. What is the statistical impact of lower speed limits? Here's the deal. I don't have statistics to give you right now as to how it changes collisions, but I can tell you that it increases the odds of survival when pedestrians are struck. At the speed of 60 kilometers an hour, a pedestrian, or at least 90% of pedestrians, will not survive. Whereas in speed limits where they are 40, 30, 50 even, the survival rate goes up exponentially. Okay, going back into the Q&A section. Getting my first car, what do I need to do? Save up. It's expensive and gas prices are high. The deal is you need to find something you can afford. You need to find your insurance provider. You need to ensure you're properly licensed for that vehicle, and then you buy it and register it your name. Depending on how you're buying it, if you're buying it privately, it's a little different than if you are buying from a dealership. But if you're buying it privately, I would suggest making that transaction at the Ministry of Transportation offices, so you can go and register it right there. They can drive it under their plate to the MTO, and then you can do the transfer and be all lawful and good to go once you leave. Nothing worse than buying a car and not being able to move it off your driveway, or not being able to get it home because you don't have it properly covered. Especially if it's your first car, you don't have previous plates to use for transport. Does light smoke tinted license plate cover allowed? That's from Abdullah, who wants to know about license plate covers. Here's the deal. You're not allowed to obscure or cover your license plate at all whatsoever. You can't put a tinted, a clear, no license plate covers, not even license plate frames. That's stuff that comes from the dealership that says, ABC Motor Company. Yeah, you can't have that at all. You cannot cover any portion of your license plate. It's illegal. And a number of people have been asking me recently about painting or modifying their license plate to prevent it from peeling. You can't cover or modify your license plate in any way, shape, or form. And changing it, painting it, correcting, that's actually an arrestable offense. So don't do that. What is this? If you don't have stats, how do you justify your program? I don't have stats on the reduction in that particular question, but you can read all about Vision Zero. It's a whole concept of reducing fatalities on the road. And you can certainly go read up on that. In fact, if you Google Vision Zero Toronto, there's a ton of information available. But I'm answering all sorts of questions and not specifically catering to your inquiries. Let's see here. Why do cops violate traffic laws and then ticket? Oh, so police are given the ability to violate certain laws, and it's not really violating because they're exempt from it. For instance, they're allowed to exceed the speed limit. They're allowed to go through signalized intersections, even on the red, when they're doing certain things. That's because it's a requirement of the job. They're allowed to use their cell phones and computers and two-way radios because they are required to do that in the interest of public safety. So the general public isn't allowed, and for good reason, because if we were all doing that, there'd be a tremendous amount of risk. Now, that's not to say there is no risk. We acknowledge that these activities are more risky. And when we do this, there has to be a good reason for it. We have to be engaged in the lawful execution of our duties. And if we're not, even if we are, we're still going to be liable for our actions. We have to make sure we're going through that intersection safely. We have to make sure when we are exceeding the speed limit that we're safe. And if we're not, we're ultimately responsible. Okay. We talked about big trucks and that. We talked about this one. We got some duplicate. Please only ask questions once. Is it illegal to have tinted front headlights? Yes, it is. There's a specific charge for it. And you're only allowed to project white or yellow light from your headlights. Equally, when you put a tinted cover on it, you make it less effective for headlights and for taillights. Taillights have to be discernible at a particular distance. I believe it's 150 meters, but any change in that will make it less effective. And my wife has joined us through YouTube. Good morning. It's always great when she comes and supports the show, because then I know I'm being watched in my show and I get one more viewer. No, good morning. Hello to everybody at home. Let's see here. Let's do. Okay. We have Kev with some more questions about stats and money, and obviously not a supporter of police activity. He wants to know how much taxpayer money is wasted on speeding tickets. Not a waste of money. It's an investment in traffic safety. It's about slowing people down, because the increase or speeding above the speed limit increases your chances of collision, increases the severity of injury and damage and risk of death. So investments to speed enforcement are very valuable, because we want to keep people moving slower to reduce the risk of injury and death on our roads. Okay, let's see here. Is it safer going the flow of traffic or the speed limit? Flow of traffic that exceeds the speed limit is illegal and is not to be done. You're not supposed to exceed the speed limit at all, not 1 kilometer. There's no excuse for it. And so it is safer to go the speed limit. And everyone should go the speed limit. And you know what happens then? The speeders don't speed because they can't, because everyone's going the speed limit. So when you choose to go with the flow and that flow is above the speed limit, you're enabling speeders to break the law and you're contributing to unsafe roads. Okay. Do you have to fully stop on a yield? A yield sign is not a stop sign. So if you're capable of going while yielding, you don't have to come to a stop. You only have to stop if someone is there first. So it really depends. But it's not a stop sign. Rob Baker wants to know if I can delete my front and rear bumper. No. Front and rear bumpers are required equipment to be on your vehicle. They oddly enough, relate to when you are striking a pedestrian, for instance. They absorb impact. They make it safer. When you strike another vehicle, they absorb impact. If you don't have them, your vehicle is unsafe and can't operate on the road. We have the TPS careers link again, if anyone's interested in looking into what it takes to become a police officer with the City of Toronto or the Toronto Police Service. Okay.
I see a parking question.
Oh, you do? What's your parking question? Then we'll jump to this one.
It's in the Q&A. Can delivery park in fire laneway for fast delivery?
Let me guess what the answer might be on that one.
No. But I will say if you're talking about like a fire route at a like apartment building, so my apartment building, for instance, a condo building, it has a fire route in the front, and it is an approved fire route. So people park there all the time to make quick deliveries, and they usually get away unscathed because they are, and it's also a condo, so they need to call for us to come and ticket. So if that's the case, then you're probably okay, but you're still rolling the dice ultimately.
So it's not legal and it is enforceable, but your odds of being caught depend on how quickly someone calls or if someone happens to be there. So, but it's still illegal.
It is, yes. It's for fire lane or fire route is for fire trucks to be able to access the building. So yeah, we don't want that to be blocked up. So
people may be wondering who the voice, because my lips weren't moving and I don't sound like that. That's Erin Urquhart. She's a parking enforcement officer and a media relations officer for the parking unit. And we work out of the same building. We do a lot of stuff together. So it's awesome. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. We have about 600 people in the room. I wanted to say hello and welcome. If you don't follow us already, please do. And please share this with everyone you know. We got lots of information that you need to share with people because you want to help them out, because you know that this is valuable details, and we just want everyone to be safer and have all the knowledge to make good decisions. Pedestrian lightly hit by vehicle, what's next? Well, if you were struck by a vehicle, if there's no injuries, then it really depends, because contact doesn't mean collision in terms of the Highway Traffic Act. If we talk about a collision, it's either damage or injury. So contact is something you can report, but it may not be necessary. If you were injured, obviously you should. And someone who's not paying attention as a driver, this is a good thing to document. So calling police and getting direction is the next step. Toronto Police will attend collisions involving pedestrians. That's what we do. Now, if you leave the scene or you choose to report it after the fact, you can certainly still make a report. Police will not attend in that situation, and you can attend a collision reporting center. There's 3 of them in the city, and one of them is only for pedestrians and cyclists. So I bring up the 3 because a pedestrian was a part of that. Now, vehicles can go to either the north or the east, and the one that's here at 9 Hannah in the building I'm in at Traffic Services is only for pedestrians and cyclists. Lots of information on our website. If you go to torontopolice.owen.ca/traffic, there's a what to do when in a collision, and there's a page with lots of information to help you out. Let's go through and see. Convince me not to speed. I'm curious. I don't need to convince you. I can tell you that it's illegal, and that should be enough. But we've talked about this a couple of times, so I don't want to get into it again. Check it out. Google. Check out turf.ca. That's the Traffic Injury Research Foundation, and they talk about all the stats and information to support it. I don't want to have to convince you. If you think that speeding is something you should do, you shouldn't have a driver's license. Okay. We talked about this one, so I'm going to remove the duplication. Okay. What is the law on Underglow? my I don't know if it's my least favorite or most favorite, but it's something that used to be like 10 times a show. Underglow is not specifically illegal. However, poor installation might constitute or create a situation where you're violating other rules. Essentially, if you're projecting light in any direction other than down, you might be violating laws. Like you can't project light forward that is anything other than white or yellow. It's the law. So if you have underglow of any color being projected forward, you may be creating a situation for improper headlights. If you're projecting light other than yellow or amber to the rear, you might be. If you're flashing lights could be an issue. So it all depends. Definitely avoid blue, red, and green. Those are restricted colors, but it depends, and your mileage may vary. I would suggest, if you're going to install it, make sure they're directed down and down only, no light escaping to the side, and use it on private property. I wouldn't suggest that for the road. Okay. If my G2 expired through the pandemic, can I drive? This is something we haven't talked about in a while, so thank you very much, Ice Cold Keem, for asking the question. The deal is you're covered under an extension. If your license expired, your G1, G2, M1, or M2 expired March 1st, 2020 or later, you're covered up until December 31st, 2022, right till the end of this year. You're covered to drive, and you're covered till the end of the year. At that point, you should have either acquired your G or made other arrangements. But that's a great thing. We haven't talked about it in a long time, really long time, months. Do I call 911 if I see a reckless driver? If you see someone who's a danger to the public and you are concerned for the safety of yourself or others, by all means, you can call 911 in response. That person could be impaired, could be having a medical emergency. There's so many things that might be happening, and no one's expecting you to make the determination as to whether or not you are right or wrong, just that you make the call so that we can get out there and deal with it. Now, hopefully, we are able to catch them in time before somebody gets hurt. Let's see here. You see a question about parking?
I do.
Cool.
From I don't know how to say, Boys Soprano. Can you stop to drop passengers in no parking zones? So no parking zones, yes, you're actually able to load and unload in no parking zones on side streets, not arterial roads, but yes, you can do that in no parking zones for sure. No stopping zones though, no. And bike lanes, no. But
so different rules for different zones. Know where you're going. So we know that there's certain areas you can simply not, and that was the no stopping and no standing.
No standing is also where you can. That's meant for passenger pickup and drop off.
Quick drop off.
Yes.
Okay.
Like you just literally pull up, drop off, pick up, and be on your way. Can't sit there and wait because then you are standing, and there's no standing. No
standing.
Yes.
So that was that question. I think that was from Boys Prano.
Yes.
Boise Prano. Boys Prano. I don't know that.
I didn't know.
Usernames are always interesting.
They are.
Akela Draconis wants to follow up with that. And can you drop off with an accessible permit in areas that are no stopping or no standing?
So,
I'm assuming.
Again, like no stopping is no stopping. Accessible permits are not exempt. But like if I see someone pull over in a no stopping zone, they drop someone off. Like I'm not going to roll up and give them a ticket.
So it's going to be officer discretion at that.
Yeah, but like if you're sitting there waiting, that's a different story. But me personally, no. Like I'm not going to.
Can't hang out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Discretion.
Just because I happened to notice it in the chat, MC Sheep says, I used to live in Toronto. I watch your live every time I get a chance. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We have such a great community of folks that follow us and interact with us in the comments and the lives. We really appreciate you. We just hit like 564,000 followers. It is absolutely amazing. And as Q says, the world has come to an end. You're actually reading chat. Yeah, I very rarely notice that or I get a chance to see checks. I'm always in the Q&A, so it's a rare occasion that I happen to notice something that popped up. And someone asked, is Erin actually here? Yes, physically in the studio. We just don't have the ability of putting her on camera at the moment. But one day, again, soon, we're going to do that. In fact, I think we should do a podcast episode with you. What do you say?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a podcast episode. Maybe we record it later this afternoon. We can do an hour of podcast.
Yeah.
We do have a podcast now. It's called TPS Traffic Jam. We jam about traffic. And the deal is that it's available on our YouTube channel, and it is going to be published. Whenever we do an episode, we publish it live. Sometimes we actually record it live, and then we also publish it wherever published podcasts go, which is Apple, Spotify. All those apps will support us and do take us. So it's cool beans. Mikey wants to know, what if I took the pedals off my e-bike? Technically speaking, if the pedals are not there, it's a motorcycle. There are a number of very specific rules that allow an e-bike to fall under and get covered under that e-bike legislation. So if it doesn't exceed 32 kilometers, cannot be capable of going over 32 kilometers. You take what's it called, the governor off, and it's illegal. It's now a motorcycle. You have a motor that's more powerful than 500 watt. Boom, it's a motorcycle. So there's a whole bunch of things that you have to follow. I've seen e-bikes that do 80, 90 kilometers an hour. Those are definitely not e-bikes. Those are motorcycles. Ryan Pinn says, hey, in between lessons, thought I'd pop in and say hi. Always good to hear from you. Ryan is a driving instructor with young drivers in Nova Scotia, but we see him here all the time and we chat, and it's cool. Thanks for saying hi, Ryan. Let's see here. What car mods are illegal in Ontario? This is a great question. Illegal ones are illegal. Legal ones are legal. I know it's not the question you wanted to, the answer you wanted to hear. There are so many potential charges and offenses that I couldn't get through all of them. Tint and lowering or raising and tires and headlights and brake lights and all those things tend to be an issue along with exhaust systems. So, you know what? If you've got specific questions, by all means, ask them. If you have questions that you want to, if you're going to do something to your car, check with a mechanic first. They'll tell you at least what's legal. At least they should. They may take your money and do it anyway, but they're not reputable if they do. So don't trust them if they tell you to do what you want. Okay. How many bad cops have you seen in your career? Now, this is a good question. Do you mean bad like criminal, or do you mean bad like just they shouldn't have been a police officer, or bad because, I didn't like them because I didn't get along with them? Because there's different kinds of bad, and it really depends on what you're saying. Bad criminal cops, I've not really seen anyone firsthand. I've heard stories of people who had done bad things. They were caught and they were fired and criminally charged. That I've heard of, but I've never experienced it firsthand. Maybe I'm just lucky, but I've certainly heard stories of people who turned out to be bad. People who were just not good. And this job is not for everybody. There are people who come into this career and have the best of intentions, and it just doesn't work out. And you know what? Sometimes they move into other areas, and sometimes they leave the service altogether. It's certainly not for everybody. I don't know if that makes them bad or just maybe it wasn't the right choice for them. Let's see here. Somebody put W. I don't know. Jason wants to know. There's unintentional hit the button. What charge is applicable for having a sun strip tint? It would be, I think it would be obscure driver. Actually, no, I think it would be unsafe vehicle. I think it would fall under unsafe vehicle because it's according to safety standards. So I've not laid the charge for it, but I think it would be considered unsafe, and you could lose your license plates for it. Because it's under that safety requirement that says that vehicles 2017 and newer can't have any. So it's specific to those newer vehicles. Why do cops speed? Never saw a cop doing 60 in a 55. First off, they're allowed to exceed the speed limit, and for various reasons. Lawful execution of our duties is obviously part of it. We have to be able to get to where we're going, and using lights and sirens to do that often makes the ride a little more dangerous because the folks that are on the road do some unpredictable things when they think we're trying to pull them over, or they notice us last minute. I've had people slam on the brakes and try and stop in the middle of a highway. It's just not cool. So we often are going to a call and exceed the speed limit without our lights on because it's safer. Now, other reasons. We need to get in front of the next car. If I just sit beside everyone doing the speed limit, I'll be looking at the same car. I can't get in front of the next person to see if they're on their cell phone, see if they're wearing their seatbelt. So I'm going a little bit faster, not breakneck speeds, but a little bit faster so that I can inch up in traffic and observe the goings-ons in the vehicle. Oddly enough, this is one of the reasons why tinted windows are illegal. We have to be able to see inside the vehicle. If it's too dark and we can't see inside, that's a problem. We can't, enforce laws. Let's see here. Why am I suddenly getting interference?
Yeah,
it's annoying
me too.
Yeah, it's cell phones. They're fun. Okay.
I see a parking question.
Well, let me get to this one because I hit the button too fast,
no.
and then we'll go to yours. Going down a large hill, still get a speeding ticket? Yeah, you're responsible for your speed, even when you're going downhill and you're not pressing the gas. You're responsible for your speed at all times in your motor vehicle. You're in control of it. So yeah, you can get a ticket for that. Is that something we focus on? If you're doing 3 to 5 kilometers over, that's not a specific number. I'm just making up a number randomly because you are going down the hill. Are we going to pull you over for it? Maybe. Are you eligible for a ticket? Absolutely. But if you're doing 20 over because you're going down a hill, there's absolutely no excuse for it. That's use your brakes, control your vehicle. And then you've got a question about parking.
Yeah, it's just, is it illegal for a motorcycle parked on the sidewalk? So, yes, yeah, you can't park your motorcycle on the sidewalk, but motorcycles do get lots of perks in the city of Toronto,
Absolutely.
and they don't have to pay for parking. There's actual areas within the city that are specifically for just motorcycles. Like they just started actually April 1st. It's usually April 1st to October 31st. I did a video on this last week. Yeah, so it'll be like a metered area for cars.
Pay and display?
Pay and display, yeah. But so to say that section is for motorcycles only, cars cannot park there, even if they pay for parking, because it's meant for motorcycles to.
So areas that
occupy
are
that
specifically
space.
designated motorcycle only, and it's free in those areas, and it's been that way for quite a number of years in the city of Toronto.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best reasons to ride a motorcycle. I mean, listen, there's lots of reasons to ride a motorcycle. I love riding bike, but parking for free in the city of Toronto, that takes the cake.
Yeah.
How much over can you speed limit? How much over can you of speed limit? Nothing. You're not legally allowed to exceed the speed limit at all for any reason if you're asking about everyone other than police, fire, and ambulance, because obviously there's an exemption for us. But you cannot speed. There's just no excuse for it. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're on fire. You cannot speed. Not legally, anyway. Okay. Motorbikes legal. Seatbelts required in cars. Explain. That's actually a very good question. So if a motorcycle is involved in a collision, the safest thing is for the motorcycle and rider to separate. The motorcycle, being heavy, will continue traveling at a high rate of speed much longer than the passenger or a rider who becomes separated and slows down. It's actually safer not to have a seatbelt in that situation. Very different device, very different vehicle. Yeah. That's the most simplest of answers. But in cars, you need to secure yourself within the vehicle so that you can, not be additionally injured within moving the vehicle. Because people bounce around. If you watch some seatbelt videos, I think it will be very clear as to why you need to wear them in a car. Seatbelt collision videos, crash test videos. Watch them, you'll know immediately. Okay. Why does no one get pulled over for going 10 over? Well, don't say no one, because I've stopped many people for 10 over, and just because you've not seen it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But I'll tell you that more often than not, it's because we're stopping the person who's doing 20 while you're doing 10. Obviously, the faster person tends to draw the attention more, but doesn't mean it's legal to do 10 over. And, when I do speed enforcement, or used to do speed enforcement in 30s and 40 zones, oh yeah, 10 over is a major ticket at that point. You're doing a serious number of kilometers over the speed limit. So I'd issue those tickets all day long. I think that we should have way more traffic cameras. What do you think?
Yeah.
I know that's not a common or popular thing to say, but I think that if we had a camera at every intersection for every stoplight and every road, no one would speed, and we'd have safer roads for it, or we'd have some people who like to speed and have no money. But there would be a choice. You choose to break the law, you choose to pay. Is there any excuse for speeding? None whatsoever. It doesn't matter. Like I said, if you're on fire, you can't speed. If you're having a baby, you can't speed. If you're bleeding, you can't speed. Call an ambulance if you have an emergency, but don't speed. Okay. Do front license plates need to be on the bumper? No. They need to be in the front of the vehicle. Bumper, grill, tow hook adapter, front conspicuous location. It's front, not behind the windshield. That's not the front, not facing the sky on the hood, on the front. So that's bumper, grill, conspicuous place. Linda says, if you have asthma attack, can you speed to the hospital? No. If you have an asthma attack and you are speeding to the hospital and you lose consciousness, you now have a faster moving vehicle that's going to cause more damage in the event of a collision. And if you're having asthma attack, you're not capable of operating a motor vehicle. 911, pull over. A long time ago, I went to do a notification for death. There was a couple that were traveling in two separate vehicles, and on the way home, the driver of one of the vehicles, the spouse got home and husband didn't show up, and they called police, and we found the vehicle. The vehicle was located on the highway, pulled over on the side of the road, and the driver had unfortunately died as a result of a heart attack. He was a professional driver. He knew that if he had a heart attack and was trying to get to where he was going to hurt somebody. He pulled over and safely parked his vehicle. And it's a sad story, but at the end of the day, the potential a catastrophic result of trying to get somewhere while you're having an emergency, or even if you're just stressed out. You're trying to drive someone who needs to go to the hospital. Well, now you're under stress and you're going faster, and bad things happen, and you end up becoming taking emergency vehicles off the road from dealing with other emergencies to deal with your emergency, and there's more victims potentially than when you started. Rationale for speed limit not uniformly applied. I don't really understand your question. Do you mean why not everyone is stopped for 1 kilometer over? Any charge under the HTA is going to be an officer discretion situation. Within reason, we're going to charge people for stunt driving and not give them warnings, but that's because they're doing really stupid things. But generally speaking, whether I choose to pull over the 10 kilometer an hour speeder or the 20 kilometer an hour speeder is going to be my choice. And that's it. So I think that we should have a camera that charges everybody for 1 kilometer and over. See how you like that? Let's see here. Are there any stats that decreasing speed limits make roads safe? Check out Vision Zero Toronto. Check out Vision Zero. It's an internationally accepted concept. Cities are changing designs of roads to slow people down and protect vulnerable road users. Additionally, we do the enforcement side of things. But the chances of someone surviving a collision at lower speed is tremendously higher than that of a high-speed collision. You go faster, yes, the rate in which you decelerate on impact is higher. And there's a number of things that happen on a collision. It's not just that your bumper gets bruised and the airbag's deployed. You're traveling at 100 kilometers an hour, and then you're traveling at nothing. That deceleration, that rapid deceleration, it comes in steps. The car stops, then you continue traveling, and then your body hits the airbag and or combination of seatbelt, and then your organs are still traveling at a high speed, and then they are abruptly stopped by hitting your rib cage, and you have a lot of injuries. At slow speed, those injuries are minor. So there you go. Are your ears on?
Nope.
No, let's turn your ears on. I think this will now give you ears. Are your ears working now?
Thanks, Sean.
Aha. Sergeant Murray Campbell has joined us, and his headphones now work. Question of ways to set yourself apart when applying for police. This is a great question. And we are hiring. www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. Check out all the positions available. Check out all the requirements for all of those positions. And here's the deal. If you want to be a unique applicant, do unique things. You don't have to have the same qualifications as everybody else. I love to say that if you want to, if you've got skills in math, go become an accountant. Come to, apply for us afterwards, because you're going to bring unique skills and abilities that we need, because we investigate financial crime. These are things that make you different. Everyone who goes to the same school and wears the same haircut and does everything the same is the same, and you don't stand out. Volunteerism is a huge component of what we do. We need people who want to serve the community, that show that they're committed to the community that they want to serve. Driving, having a good driving record, huge. How could you be left responsible to enforce laws that you don't respect because you have 25 tickets or stunt driving or what have you? Continuing your education, learning languages. Multiple languages are huge. Many people go off and learn how to do sign language or French or any unique language makes you a unique applicant. So tons of things. Feel free to DM if you have more questions, but we're going to move on. But good luck to you on your career, and definitely go apply. Okay. Water time. Any parking stuff in the chat?
Yeah, I did see one. I was like, can I stand in a no parking zone for 30 minutes? Absolutely not. No, it's no parking. You can park there to make a delivery, like I said, on side streets for 10 minutes, but half an hour, no, you cannot do that.
Okay.
You will get a ticket for sure.
Ticket, more ticket. Do speed cameras ticket you for 1 over? No, 1 over is not something that they trigger for, but we don't have a specific number for how many they do go over. We're not told, because it's not a Toronto Police program. It's a City of Toronto program, and every jurisdiction, every municipality sets their own. So I suppose there could be a municipality somewhere that sets it to 1, but in Toronto, my understanding is it's more than 1 and less than 100. I don't know the specific number. Don't speed.
Could be more than 100.
It could be more than 100?
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. It's true. I would not try that test. Let's see here. Do cops ever follow people because they're bored? Maybe they follow people because they're going in the same direction that may appear to be boredom, but I don't I don't know what motivates. Usually it's an investigation. You know, we run plates, we check drivers. If you're the only car on the road at 2 a.m., maybe we're checking to see what's going on, and then we chances are find nothing and move on. Okay, what is this? Is it legal to skip on my phone if it's one touch? Skip, you mean songs? You're not allowed to use your cell phone for any purpose other than answering or hanging up momentarily a call. You can press or swipe for that purpose if it's mounted. Chances are, if it was one touch and we didn't notice that touch, or we could have been a phone call. Where we start to really look at phone users is when they're not focused on the road, when their head and eyes are down. I wouldn't know if you hit one button, tap to answer a call or to forward music. I'm not saying that it's legal. I'm saying that I probably wouldn't have enough evidence at that point to lay a charge. Any contact with that phone where it's more than just that single touch is a problem. I can't tell you how many times I've walked up to cars, traffic has driven away, and the person is so focused on their phone that they just didn't notice. They're just so immersed in whatever the email to mom is, or video conferences. I've charged a number of people with that. We have some folks that are giving moderators a hard time. I want to remind everyone that our moderators are not police officers. They're volunteers from the community, just like you. There are people who are just trying to help. So please be kind. The trolls, if you're harassing them, depending on the content of your harassment, you may be triggering a police investigation. If it's just I'm trying to figure out what language I can use to describe the activity. If you're being a bonehead, stop it, or you get kicked out, and we won't bring you back. It should be banned. So we don't want that. But stop what you're doing. Let's see here. Why don't police enforce laws for high-speed zones? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Do you mean highways? We enforce the speed limits on our highways. We're responsible for the Don Valley Parkway and the Gardner Expressway. OPP handle the 400 series highways. But, you know what? That's a very good point. Akila Draconis brings up a very good point. Today is Pink Shirt Day. I'm not wearing a pink shirt, but it is Pink Shirt Day. It's an anti-bullying day. So what are these trolls doing? They're bullying people. You know, that's a great way to segue into the fact that that kind of behavior is unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. You want to throw in there's a totally unacceptable?
Totally unacceptable.
Thank you very much. It's totally unacceptable. Okay.
I did see a couple parking questions here. I can answer quickly. Somebody asked, I'm assuming, what to do if someone parked in front of your driveway and refused to move. Call us, and we will come and take care of it. And by take care of it, I mean ticket it and then tow it out of the way.
Yeah, if they parked it because they left it there, absolutely. If it's actively someone blocking you from leaving, that may involve police attending as well. So
that too, yeah.
And it could be something more serious. But certainly call police and or parking, and we'll go from there. Does that happen a lot?
Driveway obstructs, yes, more in like residential areas, even if it's like half of their driveway, but still like people can't get out of their driveway. So, and those are priority calls for us. So when we get a service call for that, it's like, when you guys have a hot shot,
Yeah.
we want to get there to help the person get out of their driveway. So.
Yeah, it's one of those things that triggers us as, what's going on here? There's more to it.
Yeah.
Does yellow traffic signal mean stop only if it's safe? So a yellow traffic signal means stop unless it's unsafe not to. Unsafe to stop. So if you were traveling and you were crossing into the intersection as it turned yellow, obviously you're past the point of no return. It would be unsafe for you to apply the brakes so hard that you came to a screeching halt. That would be dangerous. But if you are driving at the appropriate speed, and you are far enough away that you see a yellow light, that means stop. And if you decide to gun it and go through, you could be charged for disobey amber signal and get the same ticket as if you ran a red light. It's the same thing. And how do we determine whether or not you should have stopped? We watch you, and there's a determination in the evidence, that the officer provides would support that charge. Oddly enough, it happens a lot. Who'd have thunk? Does an exhaust ticket affect your insurance? Any ticket could. Moving violations are generally the ones that are looked at, but you have a ticket, and I'm sure that the insurance companies see everything, and what they do with that information is up to them.
Craps in chat.
Sergeant Kraft is here. Pink Day. Yes, it is Pink Day, and Sergeant Kraft is saying hello. Good to see you, even though it's your icon from Facebook. Okay.
Hi, Sergeant Kraft.
He's actually on TikTok too.
TikTok too. Sounds like a rhymey thing. If I own vehicle, does insurance have to be in mine? I think you mean my name. That's going to be an insurance. So someone, generally speaking, I think you have to own the vehicle to insure it. I don't know if that could be, changed based on insurance companies. I don't know many insurance companies that will insure vehicles you don't own, but that's something that you talk to an insurance company about. As long as there's insurance on the vehicle, I'm going to say it's legal. But that's a good question for your insurance provider. Sergeant Campbell, would you have anything to add on to that one?
You know what? I was just thinking about that one. The Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act just says there has to be a policy in effect for the vehicle. It'll be up to each individual insurance company of what they want to insure and what they want to involve the risk in. If you are taking out a policy that is not in your name and you are doing it so that you can get cheaper rates from what you normally would, they might have a problem with that.
That could be fraud.
That could be fraud.
Here's a question: is there really police jurisdiction? Jurisdiction, it's not different than the states. Where you cross the border from one area to another, and suddenly that's not my problem. We are police officers in the province of Ontario. We may focus on a specific area, but we are capable of utilizing our police powers wherever we are within the province. So if we see someone speeding outside of our jurisdiction, technically across the street, then yeah, we can act. If we see something criminal anywhere in the province, absolutely we can act. And if we're outside of our province, where we're not technically police officers unless we're sworn in for specific reasons, we're still going to be the best witnesses that we can be and utilize potentially citizens' powers of arrest if we needed to. So it really depends on what you're talking about. We don't say you're north of Steeles, we can't help you.
And that's 24/7 too, Sean. That's while we're working or not working. So.
Yes, police officers are police officers 24/7, and we are obligated to act when we witness things. When you talk about special constables, when they get to take their uniform off and go home, they don't have the same powers when they leave the office. And citizens, of course, have citizens' powers of arrest, and that's something that is a little bit of knowledge can get you into a lot of trouble, but it is good. Diane wants to know, can you act when not in uniform? Absolutely. We're police officers 24/7, and we even if we're not in uniform, like we're off duty, we're still obligated to take action. And that's the whole concept of being a police officer is taking that oath and helping people. That's 24/7. Okay. Sergeant Kraft says, hi, Sergeant Campbell.
Hello, Sergeant Kraft. How are you?
I
miss ya.
Statement.
It has been a long time. Okay, question. If a G license new, can a G1 drive with me? I have a G1. So it depends on how many years of experience you have as a G2. If you have your G and you have a total of 4 years experience starting when you got your G2, then yes, you can supervise a G1. If you had 2 years as a G2 and have 1 year as a G, you have not accrued enough experience to supervise. One good indicator are the 3 dots that on the bottom right-hand corner of your driver's license that are organized vertically. That next to your mini-me photo. If you have the 4 dots, that generally that acknowledges the fact that you have sufficient experience to supervise.
It'll be up to the MTO to determine if you are qualified to do that. And it has to be on your license when you surrender to a police officer.
Yeah, if you haven't updated your license, it doesn't have those dots, that is an indicator to us that you're not a qualified G and then that you got problems. T-Dot Cop wants to know, do I have to pay for parking with my motorcycle?
No, not in the on-street green P parking. Actually, and I guess I should mention this while I have everyone here, because it is the long weekend and we are under holiday enforcement on the Good Friday, Easter Sunday, and Easter Monday. So parking is free for all on-street Monday to Friday signage, so you do not have to pay for parking if you're going to be out and about within the city on the long weekend. So
long weekends are awesome.
Thought I would just throw
Is it a
that in there.
4-day long weekend?
It is, thankfully.
No, I knew I was getting a short week, but I didn't realize I was getting 2 short weeks.
Yeah, except for, I'm working on Saturday for, I signed up for that though.
Well, yeah, when you volunteer to give up your weekend, I don't have
Yeah.
sympathy for you.
Well, no, that's why I did it, because it's a 4-day weekend, so I still get 3 days, right?
Yeah, it still works.
Yeah.
With Love wants to know, Do you need to have a badge on you in order to act? Sarge, do we need to have our badge physically with us to act as a police officer?
No, we don't actually need it with us. You'll be very hard pressed to find a police officer that doesn't have it with them, unless they totally forgot it.
Yeah.
But no, a police officer is a police officer is a police officer. You may, if you identify yourself as such and you have to act a certain way, that can be verified later.
Yeah, we'll do the right thing and then we'll figure out the other stuff. But I can't remember the last time that my badge was not in my pocket. Like I am so super conscious of making sure that I have it with me. I mean, aside from the fact that I want to make sure I have my license with me, I want to make sure I have money with me. I don't go anywhere without my badge.
Kind of like most people can't leave the house without their cell phone. We usually use a cell phone and a badge.
Yeah, we work so hard to get it. Forgetting it is not going to happen. Not regularly anyway. I'm sure it's happened once. Like I dropped my wallet once. Okay. Let's see here. We've actually gone over time. It's 3 minutes after 11. We're going to take one or two more questions and then we're going to call it because we are going to be back tomorrow. We do it all over again. Let's see here. What does it mean to have 4 dots? We were just talking about that. That is to signify on your license that you are qualified as a G-class driver, sufficient experience to be able to supervise a G1 driver. Did I say that right? I think I said that right.
You realize everybody's looking at the driver's license, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes, 146 people currently in the room, and they're all looking. Actually, there's more people because we have multiple platforms here, and I wonder we should do that every time that we hit 700 or 1,000 people because then that really makes it funny. Do you know anything about the Midway shooting? I do not. I'm sorry, I don't have information on that. Let's see here. How can I be a police officer? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You need to apply. You need to be a permanent resident if you're applying in Ontario. You need to go to our website, www.torontopolice.on.ca, and there you will find all of the qualifications, all of the requirements, and you have the ability of applying online. You can do it and get in to the process. It is a long process. It can take a while, but you know what? When you read all the information you need to do that, you'll be better informed, and you can come join the great people here. It's a great career. If you've got questions, send us a DM. If you want to know more information after checking out the website, please ask us. We're happy to answer. Have a wonderful day. More information. Going to be posting videos all day, and we will be here tomorrow, 10 a.m. to do it all over again. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.